Good. Well, thanks for coming. Yeah, obviously it was an exciting, week for our program. And I think that's, through team success comes individual accolades, and obviously Trey being a finalist for the Sullivan Award. I mean, it's I think he was only the 5th hockey player in 95-year history to be a finalist for. You look at some of the people that have won it, and whether it be Michael Phelps or Carl Lewis, Jackie Joyner Kersey spoke at the event, so to even be in the mix for that, I think that speaks for both him, on the ice and off the ice, and that's what that award's all about. And then, previous to that, for Ike to win the Hobie, you look at how many great players have played at Michigan State. For this to be our 3rd, and that puts us, near the top of for schools that have had an Hobie a Baker Award winner. And I think Ike's story too is a pretty cool story, right? He didn't step on campus and win the Hobie. He struggled at first, right? And so he needed to get better. He put a ton of work in, watching his growth, his first year, with us, he took a big jump, and then this last year just really rounding out his game, and a huge piece of our team. And, I think you could make a case for any one of those guys to win it. And I think it was tight. And I think when you step back and look at it, we won our regular season, and Ike was the MVP and led the league in scoring. We won our playoff. Ike was the leading scorer in the playoff, and he had 5 points. We scored 5 goals in the tournament. He was in on all 5 of them, and then even I go to that Big Ten championship game where he, that's where he's growing. He's in overtime where we got to kill a penalty, and he's out there. So super proud of how he's matured as both as a player and a person, and I thought he did a great job handling it. How Spartan would handle it and giving his teammates credit, and making it about the team, and I think that's something he's done a really good job of.
It's safe for you guys as a program to have the Hobie Baker winner come back for another year, to have one of the best goalies in the nation come back for another year instead of going pro, and some of the other guys that have made this decision to stay here.
Yeah, I think that makes in the last 2 years, 7 guys that had an opportunity to sign that have decided to come back. I think it speaks to a couple different things. One is one of our core beliefs is humility, right? And so understanding that, hey, yes, I can sign this piece of paper, but I feel like I still need to get better before I make that jump, right? And I think all those guys came to that conclusion. We don't beg people to come here. We don't beg them to stay. They have a lot of smart people around them that help them make good decisions. But yeah, I think that side of it. I think though Ike loves winning, and I think that that's what he wants to do. Is he wants to come back and help us win games. Obviously, there's still time here, right? You never know the future, and things can change. But he's training super hard, with our team now, and regardless if he's 100% back or not, he's got to get ready for next season. And that's all we ask is be here where your feet are, and he's done a great job of that.
When you mentioned that, like it's 6 months until October, start of games. After that, 40 games till you even think about competing for a national championship. How do you get guys to, I guess, embrace that grind or understand that like it's all going to come down to this, and there's a long road to get to that opportunity to win it?
Yeah. Well, I think that's been the mindset since we got here, right? Is just take care of today. We don't spend too much time. Obviously every team I think goes into the season, right? You want to win the national championship, but that's a long ways off. And there's a lot of work. It's hard to even make our tournament, right? And so, you just got to take care of one day at a time. Our guys are training right now and putting the time in. They'll go home for a little bit, come back in July, and we'll start becoming a team at that point with all the new guys coming in, and just really embracing it one day at a time and focusing on things you can control. And this group's really done, even our first year we got here, I think everyone's done a good job of just focusing on things you can control, and that'll be the same mindset.
And when you've done that for 2 seasons, won 2 Big Ten regular season titles, tournament titles, and you follow this process, and it hasn't had that payoff, I guess, to get to Frozen Four, get to that level. Like, do you see guys still sticking with the process, or how is that?
Yeah, no, I think guys have done a great job. I think the best teams and the best players, you look at any sport, they don't get bored with the monotony of doing it the right way every single day, right? And so we're looking for kids when we recruit that are of that mindset that you gotta really stay disciplined to keep doing the right things every day and not get bored with it. And our game's a pretty simple sport, right? So focusing on habits and details within your game and trying to master those, right? And none of our guys are there yet, right? So I think they understand that, hey, we got to keep growing our game. And I think it goes back to the type of guy you recruit that understands that when they're coming in, this is how we're going to do things, and up to the leaders to make sure the guys buy into it.
What's the last 2 weeks been like since the season came to an end? Have you guys been able to appreciate what you guys were able to do? Or is there still maybe disappointment for how the season ended?
No, I think there's disappointment. I mean, I think this time of the year, if you ask any coach, it's a terrible time of year, to be honest with you. You want to be playing, you get pulled in other different directions outside of what your real passion is, right? Is to coach, and you're not able to do that because of the rules. So it usually takes about a month to get over that, where you're not frustrated but it's a good opportunity to reflect, on things that we got to keep growing as a program, myself included, keep growing as a coach, and our staff, and recruiting never stops, so we're out. There's still hockey going on, and making sure we're doing a good job with that, and also an opportunity to spend time with our families, right? So we're gone quite a bit during the year, and even this time of year, you're on the road or whatever recruiting, and I do think taking advantage of that family time is important.
With the CHL decision, you have a whole other league you can draw talent from, and I'm curious how you and your staff have maybe embraced that this offseason, where it's a sort of a new look to the offseason and the roster building.
Yeah, you look at it, was it maybe 1,600 more players that are eligible, right? And so it doesn't mean they all, one, want to play college hockey, or two, are at the level of player that can play in our conference, right? So you got to identify the ones that want to do it, and then the ones that can do it, and so spend time out in rinks, watching on the phones, calling, watching video on guys, and we're pretty much set. We might have a spot or two, for next fall, but pretty much set. So, but you just never know, things can change, and I think now is about establishing relationships. I think it's going to take time for college hockey. We have long-standing relationships in the USHL, the national team, North American League, BC League, that we've worked together for a long time, and with these staffs in the CHL we haven't. So making sure they understand we're through the front door program, right? If we're going to recruit one of your guys, we're going to call you and let you know we're not sneaking around the rink, and try to earn that trust that hey, we're all in this thing together, and we're not looking to trying to poach players. Our job is to find the best players, just like theirs is, and I think that'll take some time to work together and earn people's trust. But I know our guys do a great job of coming in the front door, and will continue to do that.
And there's an assumption that not winning it this year will make this team hungrier, and it's almost unfair to this team, because I'm sure this team was pretty hungry and it just didn't work out. But can you use that as motivation? You got two top players and other options that said we want to win a national championship. Can that build into what's going on here next year or not?
Yeah, you like to think, right? I mean, I think we used it from the year before, right? Where same thing, we won the regular season, won the playoff, and fell short, and same thing happened this year. I do think the tournament it's a one-game shot, right? And so you got to have some things go your way, and I don't believe in luck. I think you got to earn things, right? And I go back to that game, watching it back, like, I don't know, I thought we played pretty good hockey, right? And you can go back to wooden sticks and straight curves if you don't put a team away, and it's a ball game in the third period. That can happen, right? So I think that learning lesson for us is, you got to really bear down on your chances. And I even looked throughout the season, what did we lose? 7 games. I thought the BC game here, I thought they took it to us the first game. Outside of that, I thought some of the games that we lost were very similar. Where we had, especially in the second period, we really lean on a team, and then we don't finish, and all of a sudden you get to the third and it's a ball game, and you get to the tournament. I mean, look at how many good teams aren't in the tournament, right? So you get to the tournament. I mean, Cornell was, I think preseason, some people had them as high as top 5. They had some injuries, and so you're going to play a good team, and but yeah, that's all part of the experience. And unfortunately, how we feel right now is part of sports, right? And only one team, and congrats to Western on winning it. Gets to feel that way. The rest of us don't have that feeling, So our guys are disappointed but not discouraged, and I think there's a fine balance, right? And so we've done a lot of really good things. Our process, we've been very consistent. I think it's been October of 23 since we lost 2 games in a row. That's really hard to do. And as a coach, that's what you're looking for, right? You want consistency, right? And if you do that enough and keep knocking on the door, you'll get rewarded.
Have you had dialogue with the Western coach? You guys are friends.
Yeah. I texted him. I saw him in the hotel when I was in St. Louis. My wife saw him in the elevator. He's swamped, right? So I sent him a text, but I couldn't be happier. They've done a heck of a job there. First was a great man, great coach, and I think if you watch our teams play, we probably played pretty similar hockey. I think when we played in the GLI, we laughed afterwards. It was like 2 teams trying to do the same thing to each other for the whole game. So, done a heck of a job, and credit, great for the state of hockey, right? It's in Michigan, in the state of Michigan, I think. there's so many young players that dream about playing college hockey, and to have a school in our state win it, I think is awesome.
I was reading that Red Savage is possibly putting in a waiver for another year of eligibility. Can you comment on that? Is that true?
I just think there's so much going on with college athletics, right? There's talk of this 5th year, and who knows when that ruling would be. You know, if the timing works on it, yeah, that would make sense. But you know, some people's interpretation is that wouldn't be till till the fall when the school year starts, and so obviously any team in the country would take Red back on the team, and you know, I even think for our group, right? We didn't talk about Red being out much intentionally, right? I think that ends up giving your team an out, and the guys, I think we had more than enough in the room to get the job done. But the reality is, you know, I don't know how many teams lose their captain and still have the season that we had. You know, and I think that speaks to the depth of our team and the character and leadership in our team. So we definitely missed them. So if that ever were to pass, we'd love to have them back.
Coach, what does it mean to you, to the staff, to the program, to have guys like Carson, Joey, and David all go out and sign their pro contracts and immediately make an impact out on the ice where they are now?
Yeah, it's awesome to see. You know, I think that each one of them's had a little bit different path, right? And you know, Carson came to us on not a ton of money, same as any kid that comes here, right? No promises or guarantees, but pretty quickly he worked his way up and was a really good player for us. Really helped us, you know, establish how we felt it needed to be done to be a good hockey team on a daily basis, and just watching his game grow. You know, to the point to get, you know, last year, you think about a kid like that, all of a sudden there's all this excitement, he could sign and could have done this last year, and decided, hey, you know what, I need another year, and came back, took a little bit of time coming out of injury, but he played really good hockey. We're definitely going to miss him, but awesome to see him. You know, his parents comes from a great family, get an opportunity to play in the NHL. Joey's getting married this summer, so I mean, he's excited about that, and to step into Bridgeport, you know, and produce right off the bat is a big deal. You know, I think where Joey really took a step this year, you know, he needed to play more physical and on both sides of the puck, right? And so, yes, we know you can shoot it, and you got an elite release, but trying to round out his game so he can provide more value wherever he goes, and obviously he's done that there. And I talked to their coaches there and their management; they're really excited about him and the future for him. And then Gooch, I mean, you know, for a guy to make it to his senior year as a 7th round draft pick, to end up signing, that like never happens, right? You're talking about a 0.3% chance maybe, and that credit goes to Gooch. I mean, he really, from when we first got here to, you know, this year especially, just the consistency he played with, and to step in and score in his first game. And so yeah, we're super proud of all those guys. You know, we know they'll represent Michigan State the right way.
Your family welcomed another Coach of the Year, I guess, with your
Yeah.
brother getting the ECHL Coach of the Year.
Yeah.
What does that mean to you to see him get that honor and also share a profession with him and
Yeah.
top rank?
Awesome, yeah, no, he's earned it too. I think a lot of people, right, get into coaching, just want to start out as a head coach or a job, right? And he's really, you know, lucky, you know, guy had a great playing career, played maybe 12 years in the American League. Always wore a letter on when his team's well respected, and got into coaching, right? And he started in Omaha, ended up going to the U.S. national team. He was in Saginaw for a year, he was in Flint for a year, so coaching the OHL, and got an opportunity to coach in the American Hockey League and work with the Blackhawks top prospects and help their young defensemen develop. But where I really give him credit is, I remember talking to him, you know, he has aspirations of being a head coach, and you just explaining to him, hey, I really believe you'd be great at it, but you gotta go do it, right? So it's gonna be hard for you as an American League assistant to get an American League head job. that's normally not how it works. And so he went down to Charleston, South Carolina there, and I've done a heck of a job. I mean, he's I think they won the regular season, and they got a really good team. Playoffs are starting this week, and so yeah, super proud of him. And I know just getting feedback from people, just you know, the guys really respect and enjoy playing for him, you know, and that doesn't surprise me. That's kind of who Jared is.
When you have guys like Trey and Ike wanting to come back, do you see that as, or take it as a personal accomplishment, as far as this is, you know, the culture you want to build here?
Well, I think just for our school in general, right? Not necessarily me, but I think Michigan State's such a special place, right? So, you know, Ike's talked about it, Trey's talked about it, just that what it means to be a Spartan, right? I think all of it adds up to it, right? Of their relationships with other athletes on campus, right? I think that the fact that basketball and football, you know, include us, and there is a relationship there. I think it makes the guys feel like it's special and feel like home. And I they know that they're getting pushed here and getting coached, right? We wanna make sure that we're doing that, and, I've said to those guys, no, hey, if you came in my office and said you wanna sign, give you a big hug and drive you to the airport, right? If that's what you wanna do, whatever you do, you gotta be both feet in on it, right? So, but yeah, I think that's a great sign. Again, if you look back at the numbers, I think that's the 7th time here, and it wasn't a sales job or talking guys into it, you know what I mean? I think it's, they gotta make the decision, because if we talk them into staying and they stay, it's not gonna work, right? So, we're excited about them coming back, and I think they both are excited too, because they know they got a lot to continue to work on.
Coach, with the updated prospect rankings, I think Shane was among the top 40 skaters in North America. Just time to talk about the process for the summer for him of trying to get him drafted, and just kind of how you think he projects, and just even though the season he had, this year.
Yeah, I mean, I talk to, with players like this, right, you're talking to NHL, almost every team, right, and getting your feedback on it. I always say to teams, I don't know where Shane's gonna get drafted, but I think you're getting a guy that's gonna play, right, and so, he had a great season coming in as a 17-year-old, especially with the depth we had in our roster, to make the impact. He didn't start on the power play, he earned his way on the power play, didn't start in the penalty kill, earned his way on the penalty kill. It wasn't a given, and I think that'll be good for him going forward too, right? To understand, hey, you don't just step on campus and you go on power play here. You got to earn it, and if you earn it first week, then that's fine. And so, and he's I think a big summer for not only him but all of our guys, right? Taking a step, and we're going to need him to have a big year for us. And that I'm not necessarily saying production, but his ability to impact the game physically, the way how he is away from the puck, and we saw him score some highlight reel goals this year. So I'm excited about him coming back, and he's only going to get better.
You talked about what a tough time of year this is for coaches. So what does a coach who's a rink rat who likes being on the ice do? Do you watch a lot of tape this time?
I'm trying to find the answer to that question right now. Yeah. No, you end up. You're trying to do some stuff that maybe administratively you don't get a chance to get to during the year. Reach out to friends of the program and donors that have supported us. And make sure that you let them know that you appreciate everything they do. There's still the recruiting side, right? Of talking to players and then you're kind of tracking your guys. Some of your guys are still playing, so you're watching video. I've been out and watched some games. The weather hasn't turned, so I haven't been able to fish, although we're taking the guys to the Detroit River Saturday morning. There's like 10 of them. We're going to go jig for walleye, so that'll be my first time. What's that? Yeah.
Get Blackstone fired up for the pizza maker?
No, we haven't yet. No pizza, no Blackstone, no. Yeah. It's this weather hasn't helped, but it's supposed to warm up here, so we'll be out there.
Did you take part in the movie they were filming?
No, I don't have a face for acting. That was actually really awesome though, that, I think it goes to show you again, Michigan State, you can film it anywhere, right? And to have the facilities we had, it was cool for our guys. I just peeked my head, and Ike actually told me that, no one backstage, I wasn't allowed back in the room, but, they had the highlights playing, or from the scenes that they were shooting for our guys, like, hockey education wise. I think our guys grew up in a generation where they just watch a snippet of a goal or whatever, and maybe haven't watched full games, and so it's just having learned the history of, the hockey back then and some of these great moments in our sport. I think that was cool, and it was a good timing, right? We're not playing right now, they're in the weight room, they'll break it up a little bit, so I know all the guys enjoyed it.